maybe you can still introduce yourself shortly, but I will turn the camera around. Unfortunately, I don't have an external camera, so this is a little bit maybe not ideal, but let's see how it works out. Let me just turn it.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hey. Now I can see the audience.
Wonderful. Let me try to get the volume still up. It's a little bit soft at the moment.
Okay.
But I lost the button.
Okay. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
Okay. It's better
Yes.
now. Can you all hear? Cool. Yeah. So thank you. Let's get started and maybe talk about the World Radio TV-Handbook that you are publishing. And the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the honor of being invited to talk to you in your meeting. My name is Günter Lorenz. I think most of us, we haven't met in person. I wonder if someone from your group here was in 2005 in the EDXC conference was it 2005? It may have been earlier in Taunusstein in Germany, but usually I'm not going abroad too much. I am a DXer myself since the mid 1970s, when one of my friends at school, he was given a Grundig Satellit 2000 when for his birthday, and he started listening, I started listening, and we got our first QSL cards from the radio stations on the 49-meter band. And this is how the virus of DXing infected us. At that time, I was living in Austria, near Vienna, and I enjoyed the hobby so much that in one of the WRTH books of that period, I think it must have been the 1975 edition, there was an American guy who described how he recorded his loggings of the medium wave stations on small pieces of paper, which he put into a box. It was like a paper-based database. And I like this idea very much, and I created this database. And later, when the first personal computers came out, one of the really first things that I did on my first PC is I opened a file and I created a database of radio stations. And you know how this story continued. We created FM list, the FM radio station database in 1986, 1987. And then I took a break from the hobby when my daughter was born and she grew up. And in 2005, finally, I came back to the hobby, could finally do more listening, and also we created the online version of FM list and later then of the MW list database. So you can see I have a long background of dealing with DXing on one hand, and also with IT and with databases and with all these things on the other end. And WRTH always was a companion in that period. And yeah, I always said this to my friends. I said, okay, WRTH, it's such an interesting publication, but I think it could be done even better in having more data in there and things like that. So when a few years ago already there were rumors that Nicholas Hardiman wanted to not continue WRTH, we said, okay, if he stops it, we have to talk to him. And who is we? It's a few friends of mine, and I also had started a company in the meantime dealing with radio station data for automotive use and for commercial use cases. And I said we need to make sure that if Nicholas doesn't want to continue, we have to do something. Now that rumor was around for several years, but it never happened. So everything was fine, and we enjoyed reading WRTH every year. It was a bit tricky to get it every year because Amazon didn't know about it, and booksellers didn't know about it, and sometimes I ordered it from Nicholas directly. And then at the end of the day, the postman, he squeezed it into the post box, and he even damaged the book. So a lot of crazy things happened. And we all know that when Nicholas announced 2022 was the last edition, there was there was strong sadness about this decision. It was communicated quite quickly. And everybody said, well, okay, that's it. That's the end of WRTH. That will be the end of the world as we know it. And when we knew about it, we started getting in touch with him. And we started talking to him. He was very, very interested to see it continued. And he had to, obviously, he talked not only to us, but there were other parties also interested in continuing WRTH as a book and also maintaining the brand and maintaining the service to the DXing community. And yeah, it took quite a while in the first months of 2022 to get everything sorted out. And I think it's more or less just 1 year ago that we finally managed to sign the agreement with Nicholas about the continuation of WRTH. And this is then when we started doing some work. The organizational background is, as I mentioned, I'm running a company that is anyhow is dealing with radio station data, and the book is actually published by this company, because you cannot do it as a private person, or at least you shouldn't do it. So we started working on producing the book, and we were sure we had a lot of experience in collecting data and in producing a book. We did some publications before. There's something that we published many years as part of the German association. That's a book about FM radio stations, and you see it's got many pages. It's content all coming from the database, and there's a little editing required. So we started doing the book, and then eventually we found out that we know how to do the book, but there's other things that we are not so familiar with. And one of the issues that we stumbled into was really the distribution. We had decided to keep the printer in the UK because the printer was a very good printer. The printing company, they knew how to do this book. And you will know that this book is a bit special because it's not only it's got many pages, but it has also got the first 64 pages is printed in color. Then the other pages are black and white. So it takes some experience in doing that. And they also were they made the best price, so to say. So we were working with this printing company. And on the one side, on the other side, we were working on getting the book together. And the idea when we took over WRTH was to say, okay, we will keep the structure. We will keep the type of content that everybody knows. So we will have the receiver tests, we will have reviews, we will have articles about interesting topics. We will have advertising as far as people are interested. We will have the national radio section. We are having all the international radio section, clandestine, the frequency list, TV section, and whatever, all the sections that you know. So we didn't want to change too much in this structure. And the national radio section, which is the biggest one, obviously we know how it was compiled before. It was a lot of manual work by the editors and a lot of work by Nicholas. So our plan was to generate the national radio section completely out from the database. And this is what we did. It was a lot more work than we had in mind, because creating a script which does everything, we didn't have any manual intervention on the result. It was really very, very time consuming, and this is why we didn't achieve the publishing date like we wanted to. We wanted to do it in December, but it didn't work out. So there was also quite a steep learning on that. And then finally, with a lot of delay, unfortunately, we managed to get the book from the printer. The delay obviously was caused by us. The printer did a good job. And then we had to get the books shipped to you. And our plan, our setup, and this is also the current setup, is to say, okay, the printer is in the UK. So let's ship all the books to the UK and to everyone in the rest of the world, so to say, we will ship them from the UK because that's the most efficient way. Then we said, okay, let's get a couple of books to the US and ship the books to the customers, to the readers from that fulfillment company in the United States. But then we found out that freight capacity from UK to US was not readily available. So we decided to have one pallet air freighted, and it took 1 week air freight to New York, and another pallet with another 1,000 books was shipped really by ship, and it took just 2 weeks. And you can imagine that air freight was quite expensive and shipping was not much cheaper. So that was really something that we had to learn. Then another big pallet of books had to go to Germany. I'm located near Munich, and we have companies here that do fulfillment. And we said we do that all for European Union, so also for countries like Finland. And then the books were shipped to Germany, but then the customs came around and said, you need a customs number. And we said, oh, what? Never heard of that. So we had to request a customs number, and the freight forwarder didn't ship the books until the customs code was there. So we lost another almost 3 weeks just for this bureaucratic item, which unfortunately we didn't know. We know it this year, so you can imagine that all these things that we have learned in the first year will be a lot better this year. So actually, I'm very grateful to you and to everyone who was so patient with us, and so yeah, and still so positive that with all these problems that we encountered and all the delays that we had, we were bringing out the book. I think we did a very good book, but we are planning to do a much better version for 2024. And I can tell you now that we are already in the middle of working for 2024 edition. We have taken into account all the learnings. We now know how to optimize the shipping and the forwarding. We now have the customs number, so it will be a bit easier. And the current plan is actually to have the book with the printer in time to be able to ship well before Christmas. So around the middle of December, we plan to have the book around. That will be in time to get it to everyone from the UK. It will be a good possibility to get it to everyone in Europe and also in the US. That's really what we plan to do, because we think that this is what WRTH deserves, is a publication in December. We understand that it's important both from a content point of view, but also because it's that time of the year where everyone wants to have the book. Quickly also about the learnings from the content of the book. There was one big mistake that we made, and I'm admitting this. The readability, especially in the first part of the book, is very, very bad. We made a very bad decision regarding the font size. So we got a lot of complaints from readers, which I fully understand, and we will definitely have a big improvement on that, because it's just not very readable, especially because it's too small, the font, and the contrast is not so good. So we will be improving on that. The new design is already there. We will be making tests before it goes to print, and I can assure you that it will be much better than ever before. Another aspect that which is a decision that we had been taken is to not include all the postal addresses in the printed book. This was kind of an editorial decision to say, okay, let's not have 25 pages with Brazilian postal addresses. I know if you log this special Brazilian station, you want to send a letter because you want a letter back. I understand that, but it's extremely difficult to investigate these addresses, and they would consume up many pages, and are used only for a very few occasions. So we decided to not include detailed postal addresses and things like that, and have moved all that content to the digital world. And this allows us to put other content in the book, to put more emphasis on FM broadcasting. I know there are also many FM DXs among you, and typically people listen to medium wave in winter and to FM in summer. So this has been a decision that we will maintain. We will balance. We will have a better balance on not including all the small FM stations in WRTH, but that's actually what we are planning to do. And I mentioned already the digital part. When we decided to continue publishing WRTH, my idea was to make sure that everyone on this planet has access. And now you know that sending stuff to places in South America is not only extremely costly, but it may also be quite difficult that the book arrives there because the services are not so reliable. For example, in Brazil, to get the book to Brazil, the buyer has to provide a tax number, which is an extremely bureaucratic hurdle that not many people want to take. People in India, they cannot afford. People in Egypt, we managed to get the book this year, we managed to get it into Egypt, and it did arrive. But sometimes the guys have to pay then again for delivery the same amount that they already had to pay to us because we have to ship it. So there's a lot of overhead, and this is why we said with a digital version of WRTH, we can reach people everywhere in India, in Southeast Asia, in South America, everywhere. Even if you're more a digital person, you can have it on your smartphone, on your computer, and this is why we created it as a web app. A web app is not the same as an app that you get from the App Store, but we can do everything that we want. We don't have to keep within the limitations of Google and Apple. They are gatekeepers and they also take a lot of money. So we decided to have this web app created by ourselves. It has the same content as the book. Everything which is in the book is also in the web app, from frequency lists to the advertising. Everything is there, but it has one big advantage: it's updated regularly. So in the web app, the national radio section is updated daily. The international radio section is updated as often as we publish updates, also as PDF on our website. The frequency lists are updated in real time, and yeah, you can read all the articles there. It works on all devices, from the smallest smartphone, even on your PC, obviously, and even up to your smart TV. It will definitely be working. I would like to use the opportunity to do a quick screen sharing and show you just a few screens of the web app. I will share the whole screen, which makes it a bit easier for the moment. And I hope you can now already see the world map.
Yes,
and that's the starting screen of the WRTH web app. You can see here the structure of the book. It's here got the features and review articles. You can read the editorial here. You can read all the receiver reviews that we have here. So it really has the same content, and the photographs are here. Everything is here like in the printed book. In the radio section, we have national radio, and you can look for a country, or you can click on the map, whatever you like. And this is the content that you know from the WRTH. Now, one of the benefits, except for being updated, is that in the online world, you can do things like clicking on something and getting details. So, for example, if I'm scrolling down here to some radio station here in Finland, you can click on everything which is underlined, and you will get all the station details that we have on our database. So we have information about the ownership, we have all the web links, phone numbers, everything that we have on the database. And one of the nice things that we included is really there's also a feedback channel. If you click here on report the problem, your email client will open, and you can directly drop us a message and tell us if something has changed, if something is missing, and you have the information. So that makes it immediate feedback to the editors of the book. And this feature works in every country and in every place. So if we go back to looking, for example, for Brazil, yeah, it's written differently. If we are looking up stations in Brazil, we can see we have the medium wave list here, and even if you click here on one of the entries, you will still have all the details here. So, and from each country section, you can access the national radio, can click directly on the international radio section, which Brazil currently doesn't have any data. We have the clandestine and other target broadcasts, which is also empty for Brazil, but other countries do have. We have access to the TV section. Yeah, and these sections are also available separately, like also together with here the frequency lists, and we can have here the medium wave frequency list, for example, for Central America. And again, here in this list, you can click on one of the stations, Santa Clara in Costa Rica, and you get all the station details. And here's also the snail mail address. If we have one, it's on the database. So it's really the same content, and I think it's the first step, having brought it into the digital world. We have a lot of ideas of adding additional features to the web app, because this is where we can do many more things like in the printed book. But I'm committed to continue producing the printed book as long as people are interested in the book, and therefore we will be, in the next weeks, we will be asking the community who wants to buy the book, so we can define the quantities that we have to order from the printer. There will be a pre-order possibility, so you will be able to get your name on a list, and once the book can be shipped, everything is already in place to be shipped. And of course, we will be happy to accept a bulk order from your association, and that will also, of course, be treated with top priority, because that's what we want to provide, really best service also to DDXs. Yes, before I close and leave time for questions, I would like, especially to one person, I think he should be in the audience. Mauno Ritola, he is the most important man in our team for the WRTH. Where is he? I cannot see him. Really, he is. Without his experience as a DXer, I think as long as I am, we recently found out we took part in a competition when I was still a boy, and he was pretty young then, and obviously he won, because living in Finland and being a DXer, you have very good very good chance. But his experience with WRTH, and also his dedication, is really, he's a wonderful person to work with, and therefore many thanks, Mauno. And of course, I would like to thank all of you for listening to me, for reading WRTH, and for giving us all the feedback we need to make it even better this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Günter. If there's any questions from the audience. You have?
I have, yeah.
So I don't know if the mic can take it from there, but if you... Wonderful. So yeah, before you get the questions, thank you so much. And I think you have produced a couple of sort of key tools for the DX audience. Now the World Radio TV-Handbook, and before that you have the AM and FM lists. They're crucial for us. So thank you for doing that for us, for the hobby.
It's a pleasure. It's what I like most, and it's a pleasure doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Hi, Günter. It's Jukka here.
Hi, Jukka. Nice to see you.
Yes, it's wonderful things that you have done. Really, I really appreciate this a lot. And I guess this audience, most of all, we appreciate FM list. But unfortunately, during the summer, like this bunch of Finnish DXers have actually produced 11,600 loggings to FM list during the summer, which I think is kind of awesome. I counted them the other day. Maybe there's more now, but we have an issue with the system jamming or clogging or overloading at times during conditions. And I wonder, is there anything we could do about it to help you? I mean, you could collect maybe money from us and we could buy more capacity or something like that. Or is it a systematic issue? Or is there something where money could help? I mean, you do this commercially now through your company on the WRTH side, so why couldn't you do it on the FM list side? I know Gabriel, who runs the DX Maps and Sherlock site, is collecting money, and we just recently paid him something, and we get a golden status and everything, and the site works perfectly well now. Would you do the same?
Yes, thank you first of all for addressing this issue, because I'm running the system now since 2005, and I'm running it more intensively by means of really looking at the performance and tweaking and optimizing it since many years. We moved in December 2022. We moved all the infrastructure from my company's office here in Germany. We moved it to the Microsoft Cloud, which was a good improvement. And I really must say I was not aware that there was any clogging. I know that the system usage is quite high during peak times when the conditions are great. We have something like 500, 600 logs within 15 minutes, which is a lot of stuff. We have a lot of traffic due to the map, which refreshes randomly, but it refreshes, it causes some traffic. So what I would like to do is to, now that the season is coming to an end, to see if we can do something on the operational side. I mean, we are not using any specific stuff at Microsoft. They are offering more. I guess we can just double whatever the resources are in terms of memory and in terms of CPU, if that helps. Obviously, that has costs that we have to incur, and also sending out the emails has turned out to be costly. I mean, this alert stuff that we are sending out, and I recently read about an American FM DXer. He said he broke with his family because he was on a way to lunch with family, and he got this alert from FM list, and he sent the family to lunch, and he stayed in the car to do some DXing, and they were not amused. So obviously, actually, we are sending out 100,000 emails last month, which is a lot of stuff if you have to pay for that, and currently we have to pay for them. So I would like, perhaps you can have 1 or 2 or 3 people from your end get in touch with me directly, so we can talk about the details, both on what is clogging, so what are the observations that you make, what is the feedback, and on taking money for that, I am still a bit reluctant, because if I take money, you expect something, and I have to deliver, which I have no reason not to do. But if you pay for it, you really have to get it, and so I have to make sure that I can deliver. I wouldn't want to take money and then people say, well, we paid him and it's a little bit better, but it's not as good as we thought it would be because we are paying him. So it's something, but we can discuss. And yeah, I'm not saying no. Yes, money, that definitely helps. You can buy more resources.
Yeah. Just a reminder that we are here also to help you, because the service is so wonderful. I mean, we are so reliant on it. It's the best thing since sliced bread, as the Americans say.
Yeah, thank you. And this is why I'm happy to also to be able to provide it via the company. The company obviously does makes money in other areas, but all the money that it makes goes into development of the system and making the data more reliable. This is something that we have been working a lot. We have sources, incredible sources for information, and also, of course, making the service reliable. This is what we are. Yep. What the objective is. So let's keep in touch about this and see if we can get things smoother for next year.
Thanks.
Wonderful. I think we have time for one more question, if there's any. Otherwise, we need to be closing the call and letting John Hudson in from SDR Play.
Let's give a big hand.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good continuation of the conference, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, we will do so. Thank you, Günter.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.